please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Commissioners Amanda Haas,
Present.
Sandra Parsley,
Present.
Courtney Stallworth, absent. Timothy Wiley, absent. Vice Chair Andrew Mercy,
Present.
Chair April Bartlett.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Public business from the floor. If an individual is unable to stay through the entire meeting due to extenuating circumstances, a total of 10 minutes is provided at this time, during which input may be given regarding agenda items. Individual speakers are limited to 2 minutes each. Any person who would like to address the Architectural and Design Commission on any agendized item is requested to complete a speaker card for the recording secretary and identify the agenda item you would like to discuss. Each person will be given an opportunity to address the Architectural and Design Commission at the time such item is discussed by the Architectural and Design Commission. Speaker cards available at the rear of the council chambers. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. First item on the agenda under consent calendar is the approval of minutes from the regular meeting of December 1st, 2011. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
I second. Let's vote. All in favor? Is it on?
Oh.
Oh,
So we
all
have
in
to
favor?
verbally vote?
Verbally.
Aye.
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 Motion passes 4-0. Second item on the agenda is discussion of ADC presentation before the City Council on January 10th, 2012 for the draft master plan of trails and bikeways. Mr. Luedeke?
Yes, the first thing I'd like to say is you may remember that we said we expected that this would go to the council in February because we had planned to take it as an item before the city's regular planning commission to allow them any comment that they may have on it. I was informed fairly late in December that the council wishes to see this more quickly, and more quickly meant their first meeting in January. So they are going to take this matter up next Tuesday. And the reason that we have this item before you now is that you may recall that we were planning on involving the ADC or members of the ADC that were interested in the presentation to the City Council. So we have a very short time to try to figure out how to do that, and wanted to have that discussion with you. Let me kind of run down what we do have, what we know is going to occur. We do have Ryan Snyder, obviously, who's going to be at the meeting. He will be presenting about a 10-minute presentation on really what the content of the plan is. So the nuts and bolts, to the extent that he can do it in 10 minutes or so, he will be doing. I will be introducing and answering any questions that the council may have. And we do have people both from the Technical Advisory Committee who were a part of this, as well as we're hoping some of our partners from LA County Public Health who plan to be in attendance at the meeting and will likely speak in favor of the process and the project. That leaves what we want to do as far as the presentation of the ADC. We've had a bit of internal staff discussion on it. Certainly we think it would be appropriate for the ADC to discuss the kind of community outreach and effort that was done in regards to crafting the plan, the process that you as a commission went through in terms of breaking the plan into parts and reviewing it and taking both written and oral public testimony and coming up with a recommendation for the City Council. But the question about who wants to be a part of that and how long you want to talk and so forth is kind of necessary in order for us to sort of set out a script for this. So with that as an introduction, we kind of viewed this as a little bit of a discussion opportunity, and let's see if we can come up with a process for this.
So essentially, we need to decide whether it's a one-person thing or if everybody needs to be there.
Yeah, or
to...
a couple of chosen members, or whatever you want to do. I without being too forward, I would say that as the chair, you obviously ought to speak. But the question is, beyond that, how you would want to do this, or the commission feels comfortable with it.
So we were already going to have 10 minutes from Ryan, Q&A with Brian, Technical Advisory Committee, Public Health, LA Public Health.
Yeah, more on the public testimony side, I expect them to speak, but that'll obviously take several minutes also. The good news, you are the first public hearing, at least as far as scheduled on the council agenda. Okay. So following the consent calendar, this would be the first item, unless the council chooses to take something out of order, which of course is always their prerogative. So
I have a question.
Sure.
So just, can you elaborate on what you want us to speak to specifically? Would you want us to speak to the community outreach process in terms of the meetings and sessions that were held with the different communities?
I think that would be helpful, yes.
And then also speak to the process that we went through here.
Yes.
So those are, so specifically, so you're talking about a couple of sentences, like 3 minutes of discussion, right?
Well, and one other thing that I think would be valuable, and as I said, we can make sure that we craft all this out so that we've got it laid out for the council's understanding, is there's obviously our partnership with the LA County Department of Public Health, who funded this, and our partnership effort with the Antelope Valley Partners for Health, who helped in the outreach and setting that up. So I think it would be appropriate for commission member or members to also highlight that. So
for
maybe
example, the
all
event
together.
at
Yeah.
the Antelope Valley Partners for Health event that was held at the park,
Yes.
on all of those different events.
I think that would all be valuable to have. We can also go through the walk audits, the fact
Right.
that those occurred, and some of these other components also.
Okay.
That way Ryan only has to deal with the plan itself. So
And is the idea that we speak at all about anything that came up in those evaluations from the community, or not?
I don't know if you need to get into that level of detail on it, unless there's something that you as a commission feel strongly that you want to highlight. And I can't guarantee that you won't get a question from the council, but we'll try to deflect as much as possible, if it's a technical type question, to staff on that, or to Ryan. So what our thought is that as the commission, you should probably be the first speakers, followed by Ryan on the more detailed aspects of the plan. And then obviously testimony would involve some of the people that we've already spoken to that do want to be present and give their testimony on it.
So I guess my question is, is it necessary for all of us to speak, or one of us can speak on our behalf?
You can have anywhere from 1 to 6, I guess.
Well, 5. Unfortunately, I have to be in Sacramento for work. It's unfortunately not something I can reschedule. But I have faith in every one of you to be able to represent what we did well. I think, kind of going off of what Commissioner Haas said, I think really one of the things to highlight is, as opposed to specific input we got, but just to talk about how, between our staff and Ryan, how almost every question or concern or submission, as we went down that list, worked hard to address, and if at all humanly possible. So I think that's definitely something to share.
And not only that, that you had issues that came up subsequently, there were hearings or presentations, and then issues came up, and that those were, rapidly addressed with, a good amount of staff time and investigation, and then presented to the public for, to help them understand. So I think that that should be pointed out as well, that we were faced with some challenges and that those things were addressed.
Okay. Yeah, I certainly want to make it clear that as a commission, the review of the plan was thorough, and I think splitting into the groups to do that helped ensure that occurred, and everyone was engaged in that effort. So we'll make sure that that's a part of it. I'm kind of envisioning maybe it's a speaking time total of about 5 minutes. We'll craft up a outline for that so that everyone remembers their pertinent points. But we'll take all of your suggestions and make sure that that's incorporated. I guess we just need to know how many to plan for and who's comfortable and who's available. So
It kind of seems like, as the chair, that it would be my job to do the presentation for the commission. But if everybody wants to speak, they're more than welcome.
I'm comfortable with just Commissioner Bartlett making the presentation. I think 5 minutes is appropriate in terms of content. Like, we have this presentation, there's more to follow, but this is really how we got to this point, briefly with the public involvement process, and then the commissioner's role in it, and then, a natural introduction into the consultant, and really highlighting his credibility and why he was selected. I think that's important based on conversations that I've had.
okay.
And then you, obviously, it's kind of weird if you write this part, but I'm sure as a commission, we need to recognize staff and the responsiveness and the multiple presentations. As a city, the responsiveness to the community, but then also the responsiveness of staff to the commission, and then naturally the breakout process in that. My only caveat to having one person speak and present is that because it is on our behalf, I'd love to have the opportunity to review it in advance, at least the 5-minute talking points, just to make sure I'm comfortable.
Okay.
I'll probably be far beyond comfortable with it.
Okay, well, if we can kind of get that together on Monday, send that out, is that enough time for everyone to look and...
Absolutely. I agree. I think it makes the most sense for one person to speak. I think trying to break it up into multiple people, it's confused. I don't think there's a point, and I think 3 to 5 minutes, I think, definitely not over 5. And I would also say that I think Commissioner Pursley handled pedestrian and trails. Chairman Bartlett handled bikes, and I was involved with the equestrian and trails. And I think that if the council, if they need to pose specific questions to us, if we can be present to answer those questions, I would be surprised if anything came up, but I think it just gives them an opportunity, if they have specific questions about specific portions of the plan from the community perspective or from our perspective, to give them the chance to ask us those questions.
Okay, thank you.
I'm comfortable with Monday to answer your question,
Yeah.
but I don't have to speak. So I think it's really up to our chairperson.
Chairperson Bartlett, how far in advance for your comfort?
I'm sorry, what are you asking me?
How far in advance for your comfort do you want your talking points?
Is Monday too late?
Do I want my talking points? So you're going to provide me with whatever I'm going to be
We'll write you an outline of
Okay.
those. You're quite welcome to write your own. to it, but we'll try to make sure that we have all the pertinent parts in there, and then,
And it's Tuesday evening. Oh, and it's already Thursday. So, yeah, Monday's
Yeah.
fine.
okay.
So is there, do we need to make a motion that, no, I didn't think so, okay. So we're all set then, so we're just back to public business from the floor? Okay. Okay. Anybody else have anything they wanted to say?
Oh, I do have one other
No?
thing.
Yes?
Yes, I do have one other thing. I don't have a lot of information on it yet, but for your March meeting, which I know is a little ways ahead, one of the things that I don't know if any of you are familiar with the county's proposed MAC facility, the medical facility that they are looking at building at 3rd Street East and Avenue I, fairly large project that's going to replace their existing facilities that are kind of scattered.
The old fairgrounds? There?
Yes, in that area, just to the east of it. But one of the things that we've been made aware of by the county supervisor's office is that part of the budget for that MAC includes an art component. And they would like the opportunity, it may be more than one meeting, but at least beginning on March the 1st, they have asked to have about 20 minutes of your time to go over what they're looking at in terms of the artwork and approach that they want to do on that. So with your concurrence, we'd like to go ahead and start working to get that scheduled for that March meeting, if that's okay with all of you.
That's fine with me.
Okay. We'll move forward on that then.
Anything else? No? Okay. Public business from the floor, non-agendized items. This portion of the agenda allows an individual the opportunity to address the commission on any subject regarding city business. Under state legislation, no action can be taken on non-agenda items. Members of the public should be aware of this when addressing the commission regarding items not specifically referenced on the agenda. Please complete a speaker card for the recording secretary. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each. Do we have any speaker cards, Mr. Lutke?
No, we have no cards.
Since there is none, our meeting is adjourned to, what is the date of the next meeting?
February 2nd.
February 2nd, 2012. In the council chambers. Meeting adjourned.